बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम जी। आज हम पहले वर्चुअल इंटरनेशनल कन्वेंशन लेकर आपकी खिदमत में हाजिर हैं और ये पूरा का पूरा प्रोग्राम जो है वो अंग्रेज़ी में होगा। इसमें हमारे साथ बहुत से मेहमान गिरामी हैं जिन्होंने हमें ग्लोबली हमें ज्वाइन किया है। इसके बारे में डिस्कस करेंगे और ये इमरान खान एंड द वर्ल्ड ये इसका टॉपिक है। लेकिन आई एम गोना स्विच टू अंग्रेज़ी नाउ क्योंकि पूरे का पूरा प्रोग्राम जो है वो अंग्रेज़ी में होगा। हमारे साथ जुड़े रहिएगा। बहुत ही ज़बरदस्त किस्म का पैनल जिसका भी जो है वो इंट्रोडक्शन भी करवाया जाएगा। आप में से बहुत से लोग जानते होंगे कि आज ये जो पैनल है उसमें जितने बड़े-बड़े नाम और स्पीकर्स इस वक़्त मौजूद हैं। सो हम बहुत ज़्यादा उम्मीद करते हैं कि आपको बहुत ज़्यादा आप इससे महज़ूज़ होंगे। Just to start the first virtual convention, international convention, and the topic is Imran Khan and the world. So before I go any further, I would like to invite the spokesperson, the information secretary of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, Mr. Rauf Hassan Saab, वो जो हम कहते हैं कि in your virtual तालियां, Rauf Hassan Saab for the welcoming note. जी.
Good evening, everybody, from Islamabad at the evening of a somber and foggy day. It's my pleasure to extend a warm welcome to our honorable speakers this evening to participate in the International Virtual Convention under the umbrella theme of Imran Khan and the Battle for Pakistan. Let me first introduce the speakers this evening. We have Khalid Baidoun. Khalid Baidoun is a professor of law at the Arizona State University, Sandra Day, O'Connor College of Law. His work examines constitutional law, critical race theory, Islamophobia, and their intersections. He is the author of American Islamophobia, Understanding the Roots and Rise of Fear. Then we have Sami Hamidi Sahab. Sami Hamidi is managing director of the International Interest, a global risk and intelligence company. He advises governments on the geopolitical dynamics of Europe and the MENA region and has significant expertise in advising companies on commercial issues related to volatile political environments and their implications on market entry, market expansion, and managing of stakeholders. Sami is also featured as a commentator for Al Jazeera, Arabic and English, Sky News, BBC, TRT World, and other outlets. Next, we have Tehreek-e-Insaf. Tehreek-e-Insaf is a poet and song producer. He's produced several songs on Kashmir, Palestine, and Pakistan, special song on IK, Muslim causes activist with special concern for Pakistan, Kashmir, and Palestine. We also have Dr. Mubin Shah. Dr. Mubin Shah is a Kashmir House Turkey, ex-president Kashmir Chamber of Commerce and Industry, as well as ex-president Jammu and Kashmir Joint Chamber of Commerce and Industry, senior vice president, chairman Kashmir Diaspora Alliance. And we have Ryan Grimm. Ryan Grimm is an American author and journalist. Grimm was Washington, D.C. bureau chief for HuffPost and is the Washington, D.C. bureau chief for The Intercept. He is also a political commentator for Breaking Points and appears frequently on the Majority Report with Stan Better. And last, we have Salman Akram Raja, who is a constitutional and human rights lawyer from Pakistan. There's a host of subjects, which are going to be on the table, which our honorable speakers, would like to comment on. They include, number one, turmoil in Pakistan and its effect on the region. Number two, impact of Imran Khan on the Muslim world and region. And number three, impact of Saifagate and US-Pakistan relations. And of course, as they do so, they will also be commenting on so many other related subjects and topics which are of interest under the umbrella theme, IK and the Battle for Pakistan. A few words about where we stand today in this country, in this beleaguered country. Pakistan is at crossroads again, and this phrase has been heard many times in the past also. But this phase in the current context possibly is the most grievous and the most harrowing that we have ever used in the context of Pakistan and its future. Ever since its inception in 1947, I have always contended that it has been ravaged, by a combination of two major things: military rules, which took away the constitutionality and prospect of democracy in the country, and a host of political leaders, nurtured by the military, who were corrupt to the core and who after ascending to seats of power, ravaged and looted the country mercilessly and remorselessly. The combination of these two things have imperiled Pakistan increasingly, thus pushing it to a point where we stand today, and planning to discuss various issues related to Pakistan's current state. It's not an easy situation. I think it's not an easy situation in the context, that although we don't technically have a military rule in the country today, but this is just about the worst martial law that Pakistan has experienced in its history. Because of my age, I've lived through virtually all four of them. Ayub Khan, Ziaul Haq, then of course was Shah, and then Musharraf. I have, in my writings, I've generally referred to Ziaul Haq as the draconian martial law administrator. Possibly his was the worst till this martial law, which is unseen, which operates in shadows from behind curtains, and it's not there. But everything that happens in this country at this moment in time is on the diktat of people who sit in the GHQ rather than in the Prime Minister's house. And this kind of last year, around February, March, I delivered a lecture at the IISS London, and I recounted the history of Pakistan, and I said, that time has been divided between direct military rule and indirect military rule. By direct military rule, in a direct military rule, you can hold the military responsible for whatever it does. But in an indirect military rule, which has spanned almost 35 to 40 years of Pakistan's life cycle, you cannot even put the blame on them. But you know exactly who is calling the shots, and yet they are not seen, and they are not constitutionally responsible or legally responsible for whatever happens in the country. And this, to me, possibly is a more dangerous and more ominous form of dictatorship, that Pakistan, that any country can ever witness. So it is in that context, that our social media team and other players have organized this convention. And I feel that, more such conventions should be held, so that we're able to bring across to the world the gravity of the situation in Pakistan. And unfortunately, within Pakistan, there's a syndrome of fear, which is intense, and which is continuously casting its shadows. I've never seen people so afraid of speaking out. I've never seen media so blacked out in my life. I've never seen people, who are actually afraid of, speaking out. But there are brave people who are out there and who are trying to bring Pakistan out of the stranglehold of this combine of military mindset and corrupt leaderships. And I'm sure with IK there, with Imran Khan there, and with a host of people, who are extending a supportive hand, I think Pakistan will soon emerge battered and bruised, but laden with hope that there is a morning, there's a ray of light, that we can pursue at the end of the day. And that critical day possibly is going to be 8th of February, if the elections are held. And I have consistently contended, that until and unless the elections are held, I would always have doubts in my mind that they would at all be held. There are still ifs and buts, because Khan by far is the most popular political leader, although they have defanged him. They've taken away virtually everything that he had, and yet people have the passion and resolve that they would enter the race and they would possibly emerge victorious. But if that remains a possibility, I would always say that the other possibility that remains is that the elections may yet be postponed, to a day when they would be more sure that Imran cannot emerge as victorious in the arena. So I would end there, and I would pass on to Ali to take it further. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Insaf. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Challenji, without any further delay, I would like to hand it over to our moderator for tonight's program with a very impressive portfolio. But he has done two things right on time. I think the best decisions he could ever make in his life, and I don't know if he would agree with me or not. First, he quit the civil services. Had he not been, then he would be on our list today. And the second thing, he left Pakistan when he really figured out that this is the time to leave the country. Very unfortunate, without a doubt. But since he has left the country, there is another side of him that we have seen. We have seen him as a professor of journalism who tells us how to connect the dots, who made us think outside of the box. And not only that, I also call him the guy with the crystal ball, Mr. Moeed Pirzada. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Thank you so much, Ali. Thank you so much for your very kind words. Thanks to Rauf Hassan Sahab and to all the organizers who have invited me in today's very important session, I would say, which is being watched by people all across the world. So I say a very warm welcome to everyone. I understand that people would be across North America, United States, Canada, all across the Latin America. The Pakistani diaspora is everywhere. It's one of the most important diasporas in the world. So people are watching us. I say very warm welcome to them. People in the United Kingdom, all across Europe, people in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi, all across the Middle East. I'm told Pakistani diaspora also exists in North of Africa. So a very warm welcome to all the people and a very warm welcome to all the participants of the session. I will also keep on briefly introducing them, their work, and today's contribution into this discussion. So I would just quickly continue from where Rauf Hassan Sahab has left. And this is something which I have been telling people from all across the seminars and the universities, that what we are witnessing in Pakistan for the past 22 months is unprecedented. There is a counter argument by certain apologists. There is a group of apologists that in a very smart fashion, in an intelligent fashion, clandestine fashion, keep on defending what is happening in Pakistan through a very perverse argument. And the argument is this, that this has been happening before. This is nothing new. This happened to Nawaz Sharif. This happened to PPP. This was always happening after every few years. And they try to contextualize what is happening in Pakistan in the usual norm of the Pakistani politics of the civil-military confrontation in Pakistan, in which the military establishment or the military leadership vies for ascendancy, gets rid of the political leaders. I, as a keen student of international relations, I suspect that what is happening in Pakistan is something totally new. What happened in Pakistan, say between 2017-18, was an internal turmoil, was an internal confrontation between the Pakistani military establishment then and the then Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif. And the cause then was India. The principal cause was India in the sense that Nawaz Sharif wanted to engage India for his own empowerment. He wanted to weaken the hold of the military establishment, and the military establishment wanted to get rid of him. But what's happening in Pakistan is very unusual. As many participants who will be commenting upon it, I'm sort of giving them a cue to examine, because as Rauf Sahab has given, there is Imran Khan, the title of today's discussion, a theme, a central theme which you can pick out of it. The central vein is Imran Khan and the battle for Pakistan. So we can also see Imran Khan, the world, and the battle for Pakistan. Because in the last 22 months, whatever has happened in Pakistan completely militates against the values of the international liberal democratic order. Whatever the United States and its Western allies, United Kingdom, and the Europeans espouse as the values of the liberal democratic order, the post-World War order, everything is being violated and militated under the sun in Pakistan. Yet you see a total sheepish response or a sort of non-response again and again when an atrocity happens in Pakistan. For instance, I have yet to see I've not seen any kind of significant reaction from the United States State Department when the largest political party in Pakistan, Imran Khan's Pakistan, Tehreek-e-Insaf, has been disallowed. I mean, it's not just a taking away of the symbol, electoral symbol badge. It's actually, for all practical purposes, the largest political party of Pakistan, to very conservative estimates, which probably has more than 70% approval rating, has been denied to participate in the forthcoming so-called elections, which in my own vlogs, I always refer to as Selection 2024. But the party is not being allowed because they think this is the only way they can manage the outcome of the result. But in the last 22 months, why I say it's unprecedented is because thousands and thousands of people have been arrested. According to the government of Punjab own notification, between 10th of May 2023 and the next 48 or 72 hours, literally 42 hours, around 10,000 people were picked up from their homes and offices in Punjab alone. You can add several more thousand people that were picked up across Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. You can add hundreds more that were picked up across Islamabad. This is unprecedented. All of this needed to be documented but the Pakistani media or the international media has not been able to document this. I will also take you back for people who may not remember, for people who are joining us from different parts of the world, like Tehreek-e-Insaf from Turkey, who is a musician and songwriter and a poet, and Ryan Grimm, who is currently the bureau chief of the Intercept. Before that, he was bureau chief of Huffington Post, a very important both publications. But many other people who are joining us from across the world, like Dr. Mubin Shah, Professor Khalid Baidoun is going to join us. I'm going to remind them that the age and the reign of tyranny that started in Pakistan somewhere in the around 23rd of May 2022, when in a single night, for the first time in the history of Pakistan, Punjab police admitted, the then government of Punjab admitted that they had raided 4,400 homes in the middle of the night. They jumped over the walls, the boundary walls, they broke open the front doors, they beat the people, they harassed them, they trashed their property, and all that was done only because Imran Khan had given a call for long march towards Islamabad demanding an early election. Something like that had never happened in the history of this country. Yet it has to be documented. A very important task would be to document that. And very few countries in the contemporary age, we are in the first quarter of 21st century, that have experienced the kind of tyranny that has been experienced by 240 million people of Pakistan, where all forms of expression have been denied. Yesterday I have declared myself to be a sort of an astrologer that can predict that what time the internet can be switched off in the country. In the past 33 days, 3 times Pakistan's internet whole system has been stopped all across the country with all social platforms. So when people say that this has happened before, the only slight reference, some kind of limited reference can be made to the time period between 1977 and 79, which till this time period was considered to be, as Rauf Hassan Sahab has very ably commented, was considered to be the darkest chapter in the history of Pakistan, when General Zia-ul-Haq created a climate of fear and tyranny before hanging the then twice popularly elected Prime Minister of Pakistan, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, one of the most significant characters of Pakistan's post-independence history. But many people who have witnessed this time period, like Rauf Hassan Sahab has witnessed the time period, have actually told me, who had been part of the Pakistan People's Party, they told me that since the martial law of the 5th July 1977 came after almost 4 months of civil unrest in a sort of very turbulent time period in which close to 1,000 people had died. Property worth billions of rupees then was actually burned because of the movement, a popular movement of PNA against the Zulfikar Ali Bhutto government. So when the military regime took over on 5th July 1977, it was seen sort of a neutral meddling to fix things. And the PPP leadership, realizing this thing, a former martial law had been declared, martial law administrators had been declared in Punjab, in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, in Sindh, in Balochistan, and in every major city. So the PPP leaders went up to them, sort of reconciled with them. People accepted the reality. So there wasn't any mass movement or resistance till the democracy movement in 1983. There wasn't really a very large movement on the streets. But in this case, the situation which I refer to in Pakistan, in my vlogs, as martial law plus. Rauf Sahab says it's undeclared martial law without a name, but I call it, this is martial law plus. In this martial law plus, since martial law was not formally declared, people thought, and the martial law plus means that the Pakistani military establishment and its leadership have developed a formula in which they have taken over every institution in the country. So while the courts, the session courts, the courts of first instance, the high courts and the Supreme Court exist on the surface of it, in reality, they do not exist. In reality, these courts and all, they have been totally countermanaged by the invisible kernels, which the former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, in his case in Adyala jail, continues to refer that Colonel Sahab, you must be watching what is happening over here. So the invisible Colonel Sahab is controlling everything in Pakistan. Let it be the district management group, let it be the local judiciary, let it be the police, let it be the media tycoons. Yesterday, I was with Ryan Grimm, in a seminar at George Washington University. And I asked him, I said, Ryan, how come and at what point you got interested in Pakistan? And he said that he started developing a very serious interest in Pakistan when he found out several months ago that some military official in Pakistan called over the media tycoons and the director news of all television channels for a literally 5-minute meeting and told them from henceforth, you cannot mention the word and the name Imran Khan in your bulletins. So this kind of control, it said that he was intrigued, he was fascinated, he was dumbfounded that in this day and age, when he grew up in a country under the protection of the First Amendment, such a thing can happen anywhere in the world. Perhaps such a thing is not happening in any other part of the world at the moment, what is being experienced in Pakistan. In this time period, thousands, which I have mentioned in one single night, if literally, if 4,400 houses are broken into one night, if 10,000 people could be rounded up Punjab, another 4,000 in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa in 48 hours, then we don't really have an exact figure, but countless thousands of people in Pakistan have been arrested, and hundreds have been abducted. Days pass on before you get to know what happens to the abducted people. Then they start appearing. For the first time in the history of this country, political parties, major politicians, the known prominent politicians were arrested, were abducted, were threatened, were tortured, and then tortured, literally. I mean, threatened and harassment is one thing. Maybe Asad Umar, someone like a prominent politician like Asad Umar was harassed and threatened, but there are others like Usman Da, there were others, so many others that were actually tortured, and in a state of torture where you could actually see the torture marks, they were done makeup and brought into television channels to make their confessions and to basically take them away from Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. But this is all the situation. I would conclude by saying this, and then I will invite I do not know if Salman Akram Raja Sahab, who was supposed to join, has joined. Otherwise, I can move on to the next speaker. But this is the sets of circumstances for all of you gentlemen and for all the people who are watching this and hearing this across North America, across UK, across Europe. I think the puzzle, the elephant in the room is this: that how all that happened in Pakistan. The former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, is now in jail for more than almost 170 days for some of the most frivolous charges that a politician or a man has ever been charged, perhaps in the history of not only this country, perhaps in the world. That Imran Khan faces anywhere from 150 to 200 charges, and I am afraid that he has even lost the reality of the charges against him. He has been charged for murder, for contempt of court, for treason, for leaking the state secrets, and whatnot. So with this background, the silence from Washington, London, the European Union, and Brussels is astounding. With this, I will invite the Pakistan's foremost constitutional expert, Mr. Salman Akram Raja, who should be joining us. And, I might give you some few words, very interesting introduction about Salman Akram Raja, which would be news to many of you. That I first met Salman Akram Raja somewhere around in the late 90s, 96, 97, when I was working in the appellate tribunal of the Federal Board of Revenue as a young officer. And Salman Akram Raja had recently arrived back from UK after doing his tripos from Cambridge, and he had started his practice. So he used to appear in the appellate tribunal of the Federal Board of Revenue in Lahore. Aslam Shah Sahab used to be the president of the tribunal, and he was the one single lawyer who, every time I found this, he would always be able to really get a relief from the customs tribunal, from the Federal Board of Revenue tribunals. I mean, he would never leave the room. He would never leave the room without obtaining a relief for his client, and I hope he gets a relief for Imran Khan as well. So with this, I would invite Salman Akram Raja, who has moved for the first time in his own life, moved from the practice of constitutional in the court to the practical implementation of constitution on the streets. Salman Akram Raja, a very warm welcome.
Mohit, may I suggest you take me a little later? I have a bad connection at the moment, but it should improve in 10 minutes' time. I'm on the road, on the campaign trail. Kindly take me as the next speaker.
Okay. Though we could hear you, I could at least see a very grainy picture, and I could hear Salman Akram Raja, but as he has requested, we'll take him the next speaker. So am I in a situation to take Sami Hamidi? I think I have earlier seen him on the picture. Sami, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Sami, thank you so much. I got introduced to Sami Hamidi a few weeks ago after the tragic events that started in Middle East and Gaza on 7th October. I had the opportunity of participating with him in a Twitter space. My wife also had a very powerful discussion and interview with Sami Hamidi, which you might remember. Najma had interviewed you. For others who do not know Sami Hamidi, I'll tell that Sami Hamidi works with a very important constitutional group consultancy based in London, where he's the managing director of that consultancy. Sami, in that capacity, advises the governments across the world, especially on the MENA region, which is the Middle East and North Africa region. He's a very well-spoken, very articulate representative, I would say, of the global South. So with these words, I would ask Sami to come in and to share his thoughts with us.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moeed. Thank you very much to the organizers. Thank you very much for having me, and greetings to everybody who's listening to this, and hopefully those in Pakistan who are listening to this if we don't get cut off in terms of the internet. I think that when it comes to the issues that are unfolding in Pakistan, I think that first thing to highlight is that it's a matter that's not restricted to Pakistan itself. The reality is that what's happening in Pakistan is affecting events way beyond its borders. And the reason why I say that is that while many try to focus specifically on what happened inside Pakistan, which we'll get to a bit later, the reality is that the ramifications were felt beyond Pakistan. And I think the greatest evidence of that was the way in which we saw countries outside Pakistan celebrate the downfall of Imran Khan for a number of reasons. The first is that Imran Khan, with his presence and with his policies, and indeed primarily with his rhetoric as well, was transforming the image of Pakistan from a state which was supposed to be a proxy of some of the other Muslim states, from a state which was supposed to be a follower, a state that was supposed to be a sidekick or reinforcement, to a state that was now dictating the debate and policy and general trends that were taking place in the Muslim world and beyond. You'll remember, for example, Imran Khan's speech at the United Nations, which, while many tried to suggest that it was only a matter of words, the reality is that those words deeply resonated with the Muslim ummah that was thirsty for a representative that could eloquently convey its views on the international stage in a way that did not necessarily make the Muslims look as if they were essentially paranoid or angry people, but in a way that presented them as very objective, logical thinkers that had legitimate grievances with the way in which many in the Western world approached issues. We saw that Imran Khan, for example, had navigated Pakistan from being considered part of one particular orbit of politics, whether that's in the Muslim world or indeed in the wider world, to one in which Pakistan became a much more independent thinker, independent operator, positioning itself as part of a wider community within which it was able to position itself as a key driver. By that I reference, in particular, we saw the issue of the Kuala Lumpur summit, which upset some in the Middle East in particular, that Imran Khan would dare to try to renegotiate the relationship between Pakistan and certain Middle East states from a relationship of dependency to a relationship of equal self-respect. The reason why I start with that is to highlight why somebody who is not Pakistani and outside Pakistan is showing a very great interest in what's happening inside Pakistan, because the outcome or the conclusion of what happens inside Pakistan to the fate of Imran Khan in particular will affect the trends that we see in the Muslim world and beyond. I think that the easiest way for those of us outside Pakistan to understand what's happening to Imran Khan is to put ourselves in the shoes of the establishment itself that has tried to imprison Imran Khan. And I will do something audacious. Let's try to put myself in the position of the establishment, and that's perhaps the best way, I think, to explain what has happened to Imran Khan. An establishment has been in power and entrenched itself for many years, perhaps even decades, and it has a certain way of governing Pakistan or the like. So Imran Khan comes to power. Imran Khan starts to speak a bit too loudly about issues relating to Palestine and Kashmir. And that is affecting our relationship with Saudi Arabia and the UAE, which are trying to pursue warmer ties with India and trying to pursue warmer ties with the Israelis. And there is clear agitation that in every OIC summit, Imran Khan insists on speaking on the Muslim issues that matter, keeps repeating Kashmir, Palestine, Kashmir, Palestine. And these states are saying to Imran Khan, you need to tone it down, because when you talk about Kashmir, you're affecting our relations with India. And when you are talking about Palestine, we're trying to normalize with the Israelis. You need to stop talking about these issues of justice. You need to learn to be quiet and to follow the trend, not to be somebody who sets the debate. You are putting us in an uncomfortable position in public opinion. But Imran Khan refused to do so. Imran Khan continued to shout from the hilltops that we need to talk about these issues because they are the issues that matter. The establishment finds itself in a position whereby where it prefers a relationship of dependency, Imran Khan is now arguing for a relationship of equal respect, and that is causing a shift in that the people are resonating with Imran Khan. Those who never took an interest in Pakistan are now resonating with Imran Khan. Those who never thought Pakistan could be a leader in the Muslim world are now looking at Pakistan in terms of raising the issues that matter, that the rest of the Muslim world are sort of setting aside, and that's causing issues for the establishment in that they find themselves increasingly incapable of pushing back against Imran Khan because he's enjoying this external popularity. Imran Khan is aware that he's becoming more popular as he's raising this language and the like. And when the Americans come along and insist that Pakistan, they ask for a demonstration of loyalty by allowing Pakistan to use its military bases for US operations in the region, Imran Khan turns around and says, we will not allow the US to use the military bases in Pakistan to conduct those operations. We see that Imran Khan, not only does he refuse them, no, Imran Khan instead states that Pakistan should be expanding and diversifying its relations as a necessity to preserve Pakistan's independence. The establishment becomes increasingly concerned that Imran Khan is going from somebody of a man of rhetoric to a statesman who is actually trying to pursue or navigate rough waters to try to guide Pakistan towards a position in which it is able to assert its interest in a manner that doesn't leave it dependent on those who prefer it to be secondary in the relationship. So when Imran Khan finally uses, or not finally, but begins to use his democratic powers to begin to assert himself as the legitimate prime minister of the state, we see this backlash from the establishment that is so outraged that a democratically elected leader would actually use his powers for the sake of Pakistan instead of following orders. They are so horrified by the notion that the people can decide a leader. They are so horrified the idea that a democratic election can produce a leader who would actually use those democratic powers in a way in which he leverages the people for the sake of what he's trying to achieve, that they decide to orchestrate this vote of no confidence to topple Imran Khan, to say that, listen, in this country, it's not the people who decide. In this country, it's not the people who choose. We choose for the people. We don't allow the masses to choose. And so Imran Khan, who was trying to lean on the people in order to push back and in order to establish himself, found himself ousted in a vote of no confidence, assisted by political parties that were upset that the people preferred Imran Khan over them. Political parties that should have stood with Imran Khan and acknowledged that there should be respect for the democratic mandate, that saw what was happening to Imran Khan and knew that Imran Khan was being targeted for no other reason than that he was using his democratic powers as a democratically elected leader should be. The parties, instead of saying we should stand by on principle with Imran Khan, turned around and got very hungry and said, this is our opportunity to finally support this removal of a popular leader so that we are the only choices to the people and they won't necessarily choose the person that they want, something that will be a dark stain on every political party that voted with the vote of no confidence to topple Imran Khan when they knew why he was being voted out. The issue, however, for the establishment is that the people refused to be quiet. Instead of the Imran Khan quietly going back home, we saw the Pakistanis take to the streets and challenge the establishment. We saw thousands take to the streets. We saw tens of thousands, in some cases hundreds of thousands, taking to the streets, demanding that Imran Khan be respected as the democratically elected leader. And for the establishment, this posed a crisis, primarily because with all these people on the streets and these people refusing to go home, it makes it very difficult to orchestrate a political scenario in which you can argue that Imran Khan was somebody who should have been thrown out. And that's why we saw arguably the most clumsy series of events that took place to try to remove Imran Khan's popularity. We saw more than 175 charges levied at Imran Khan, which would later become 200 plus. And essentially the establishment threw anything at Imran Khan, hoping something would stick. There were charges of terrorism, charges of corruption, charges of tweeting, charges of Facebook, charges of insulting a judge, charges of taking a gift and not declaring it. Anything that they could find in the book in terms of trying to make it stick with Imran Khan, they threw it not in the belief that he was actually guilty of any of it, but in the hope that perhaps any of it will stick, whereby they might be able to cast doubt on somebody whose image in the Pakistani mentality and indeed abroad beyond Pakistani's border was seen as somebody who, even if perhaps he did not have the power everybody wished he had, was certainly seen as sincere and honest, and being targeted by insincere individuals who were concerned at the potential that Imran Khan was going to achieve for Pakistan. And on this particular point, it's important to emphasize the potential that Imran Khan might have achieved for Pakistan. And the reason why I say that is because it's important to note that in those 3 years of Imran Khan, Pakistan's image abroad transformed exponentially. When Saudi Arabia and the UAE threatened Imran Khan and told him, if you go to the Kuala Lumpur summit, we will kick out the Pakistanis from Saudi Arabia and send them back. We will withdraw our investments from Pakistan. The reason they panicked so much is because Imran Khan had gathered such popularity in the Muslim world that they felt that Imran Khan lending legitimacy to the Kuala Lumpur summit, which was a protest against the normalization policies of Saudi Arabia and the UAE and the like, and a protest by the Muslim world that the de-Islamization policies taking place. They felt that Imran Khan had achieved such a status in the Muslim world that if he lent legitimacy to the Kuala Lumpur summit, it would be a body blow to these countries and result in a shift in the Muslim world. Many people want to insist that Imran Khan was just a man of rhetoric. If he was, then these nations would not have threatened Pakistan. If he was only rhetoric, these nations would not have mobilized to threaten Pakistan. If he was only a man of rhetoric, the US would not have told the establishment that we will forgive you if you remove Imran Khan. The reality is that while many people believe perhaps Imran Khan might not have achieved enough, it was absolutely clear to those who wanted Pakistan to be a dependent country, to be a second-class country, to be a follower, not a leader. It was clear Imran Khan was renegotiating Pakistan's position in the world as a leading figure, and therefore there was a necessity to remove Imran Khan before he could reach that particular point. And that's why when it came to the establishment and they realized that there was a potential revolutionary renegotiation of the social contract that Imran Khan was going to bring about, even after he was toppled with a vote of no confidence. This is why there was a necessity, and I'm speaking as if I'm in the position of the establishment, there was a necessity to remove Imran Khan because the Pakistani people wanted him. There was a necessity to remove Imran Khan because he was somebody supported by the people, and Pakistan is not supposed to be supported by the people. And that's why when it comes to the establishment, we saw the clumsiness in that even when there was a call for elections, they refused to do so. So even when PTI won a landslide in Punjab, they were winning those elections still, something that made the establishment panic so much that when the PTI tried to force general elections by dissolving the Punjab Assembly, the Electoral Commission not only refused to host general elections, they put in a chief commissioner of their own. And when the Supreme Court said that elections should be held, the establishment quite simply ignored the Supreme Court itself. Essentially, now what we're seeing is, and I will wrap up on this particular point because I know my window is only 10 minutes. But the point is now what we're seeing from the establishment is to try to find a way to politically engineer a result that means that Imran Khan and PTI are not on the ballot box. It's about trying to orchestrate an election that can be recognized internationally and domestically, an election in which Imran Khan is not on the ballot box. It's about trying to ensure that the Pakistani people do not have an avenue to express express themselves. It's about trying to ensure elections where the Pakistani people are not the ones who choose, but rather the establishment provides a series of choices between quotation marks that the Pakistani people will not necessarily be interested in, but that preserves a status quo, which means that it's not the people who dictate the fate of Pakistan. It's a select group of elites who tell the Pakistani people what is good for them. And that's why when it comes to Pakistan, and this is where I finish on this point, when people ask, why does it matter? Why is everybody interested? Why is everybody focused on Imran Khan in a way that they were never focused on Pakistan before? It's because if the establishment successfully managed to orchestrate elections and results where there is no PTI or Imran Khan, then it will essentially be a victory of an establishment over the popular will. It will be an issue where the Pakistani people have been subjugated by a minority that was terrified that the Pakistani people would actually express their desire for self-determination and free will. This is a battle for the future of Pakistan and the identity of Pakistan. And in particular, it's a battle to decide who was Pakistan built for. Was
I
it
just
built
wanted to
for
have
an
a quick
elite to
question.
control the majority,
If you
or
can
was
hear
it
me,
built for the Pakistani people?
if you can hear me, Sami, I think you couldn't hear me earlier. I just have a quick question before you wind up. So do you see the removal of Imran Khan, because you're also an expert on the MENA region, Middle East and North Africa, do you see serious similarities between Imran Khan's removal and Mohammad Mursi's removal in 2013, when he was seen maybe by the Islamists, by the Israelis, but he was seen as an anti-dynastic republicanism in an area dominated by the dynasties in Saudi Arabia, the Arab kingdoms? Very quick.
I think that there are many similarities, but I actually think Imran Khan is in a better position than Mursi was in Egypt. Mursi was seen as somebody that was so terrifying to Saudi Arabia and the UAE because he represented this idea of a president chosen by popular will in a region where the popular will is repressed and in a region in which the popular will is not allowed to manifest itself. But by the time Mursi was toppled, the media had successfully managed to create this polarization whereby there was either extreme love or extreme hate of Mursi, and that resulted in an inability to engage more people on the streets that might have rescued Mursi. Imran Khan's case is different in that the media has not been successful in undermining that popularity. Instead, he's more popular than he's ever been before, and that's why the establishment keep fumbling over themselves in terms of when these election dates should be held, because they're terrified that trying to rig an election is not an easy process, especially when millions and millions of Pakistanis still believe in Imran Khan and want to vote for him. And rigging elections, they want to wait for a period whereby Pakistanis get tired, whereby they go home, whereby they're no longer interested. And now we're January and Pakistanis are still interested. They still know what's happening. And that's why the establishment is shaking and saying, when will we get to a period where Pakistanis will just forget, so that they won't riot when they see the politically engineered result in the elections? Imran Khan is different from Mursi in that more Pakistani people are still standing by Imran Khan, and that's why the establishment is still tripping over itself to find a way to launch elections that won't provoke riots in Pakistan. They've announced February, but it may not even happen in February, because at this moment in time, Imran Khan is still the main story, even as they try to prevent any mention of Imran Khan in the public sphere.
Sophia. Sami, thank you so much. Sami, thank you so much. I think Sami Hamidi has set up, has given us a lens from the outside Pakistan, from an international lens, to look at what is happening inside Pakistan. Sami, thank you so much. I would like to stay in touch with you, maybe to discuss with you the situation of the Muslim world very soon. With this, I hope Salman Akram Raja, Pakistan's foremost constitutional expert, who for the first time in his long career has decided to implement the constitution, try the working of the constitution from outside the court onto the streets of Punjab. Salman Akram Raja, can I request you to join in us now? Is it possible for for you to join us? Can I hear you, Salman? Salman Akram Raja Sahab. Salman Akram Raja had requested that he will join us after a few minutes because
he's not in here yet.
Okay, so after Salman, can I then request Mr. Atif Khan from Houston, Mr. Atif Khan from Houston, to be able to join us? I would hope he can actually brief us, Atif Khan, on the engagement and the activities which Atif and his team, along with Barki Sahab, have been doing in the past 22 months to engage the US lawmakers, the congressmen, the senators. Atif and Barki have traveled several times from their station in Houston.
Salman Akram Raja has joined,
Okay.
but Sajjad and Atif, I think they cannot make it.
Okay. I've been told from the studio that Atif and Barki would not be able to join us, or at least not at this moment. But Salman Akram Raja is now with us. His internet situation, hopefully, has improved. Let me also tell you that, as I mentioned earlier, I don't know whether Salman was able to hear it or not, that I first interacted with Salman as a young lawyer when I was working with the Federal Tribunal in Lahore. Aslam Shad was the president of the tribunal, and Salman was one single lawyer who would always arrive and was always gain a relief and win the case for his client. So I remember him as one nasty character who would never lose the case. So I hope he wins the case in the court and outside the court for himself, where he is trying to fight for the Constitution of Pakistan, as he mentioned, in the real sense of it, on the streets of Pakistan. Salman, please give us your thoughts. It looks as if you are not in, you cannot hear me. Salman,
Yes, Mohit, I can hear you now. I can hear you
excellent.
now. I lost you momentarily. Thank you for this opportunity, and you really very rightly put it, that we're all fighting now for the Constitution of Pakistan, and we're fighting inside the courtrooms, and we're fighting on the streets, and we're fighting, on the airwaves. This is a most peculiar situation for people not familiar with Pakistani history, but we've come to kind of accept it as a recurrent norm, a sad norm, a tragic norm that has somehow persisted over the last 76 years. The entire idea of the law, it seems, is some kind of a contingent luxury. Whenever the powers that be desire, they can switch off the entire legal system, it seems. The Constitution, the ordinary laws that pertain to arrests, that pertain to persecution, in fact, prosecution, which is used as persecution. So all of that now is upon us. We see that the entire judicial system of Pakistan, the legal framework of Pakistan, the entire institutional framework of Pakistan, the civil service, the police, the judiciary, all are now being employed, are being weaponized to attempt to destroy a political party. And with it, the idea of democracy, with it, the idea of the freedom to associate, the freedom to speak. And the objective is really to get Imran Khan out of the political framework, and with him to stifle the voices that have arisen so powerfully for freedom of expression, for freedom of association, for the right to dignity of the human being. We are fighting for the very basic values that underpin any modern nation state. Our battle is for nothing less than that. And I feel that it was my duty to come out on the streets, to join the political fray, to fight this battle. Because what we can achieve inside the courtroom, it is sadly clear, is very limited. We can achieve some victories, but those victories ultimately amount to nothing, because our political milieu, the relationship between the people and the centers of power, has been severed. The centers of power are no longer listening to what the people are saying. And unless that relationship is restored, our legal system, our judicial system remains a facade. So that is really the foundational work that we are now doing in the political domain. And the world needs to understand that Imran Khan today is a figure, he is a politician, but more than that, he is now a beacon of hope. He is the pole around which the entire struggle for the resuscitation of the Constitution, for the resuscitation of our basic fundamental rights is taking place. And I can only count myself fortunate to have the opportunity to be a part of this struggle. Inside the courtroom, I appear regularly in cases that pertain to Mr. Imran Khan, his unjust incarceration. But I'm now also increasingly on a daily basis meeting with hundreds of people in the streets of Pakistan, in the bazaars, the markets of Pakistan, in dark alleys, in underdeveloped areas which exist right in the heart of a city like Lahore. I had not known of the existence of these areas before. So we see that there is a facade of development, just as there is a facade of a legal system or a constitutional order, but these facades mask very grim realities. These grim realities are the contingency of the legal system, of the judicial order. These are the attempt to mask the poverty and the deprivation that exists all around us in our midst. So we must unearth and expose the injustice on which our systems are built, the economic system and the legal system. And that is the battle that I think each one of us now has to fight. It is a battle that Imran Khan is fighting. It is a battle that PTI is fighting. It is a battle that we are fighting in tandem with Imran Khan under his leadership. And I'm glad to have become a part of this team.
Salman, can you hear me? I have one or two questions for you, if you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
So my first question is this, that just before you, I don't know whether you were able to hear Sami Hamidi, who was speaking from London, but Sami Hamidi, who is a London-based consultant and advises the governments in the MENA region and across the world, gave us an international perspective as to how Imran Khan had created a challenge. A country like Pakistan that had no real position on the international Muslim stage, apart from very superficial positions which the governments and the Foreign Office have been taking, Imran Khan made it into a real issue. The issue of Kashmir, the issue of the Palestine, issue of Muslim leadership, Islamophobia and all that. And that was unacceptable. He gave that perspective. So he also gave us a view that how the international power centers are aligned with the Pakistani military establishment against Imran Khan. If such is the case, how would the Pakistan's internal struggle, which you have now taken away from Supreme Court onto the streets in Lahore, would materialize? Also, I have not been as public a figure, but whatever public figure I have been, I have always felt that the discussions within the Supreme Court many times sounded very artificial and very superficial to me. When judges talk of, our scheme of things, such section of law, the constitutional thing, and as you have now mentioned, that the reality is very different. So I want your thoughts on these two things.
Well, the conversation or the curbed conversation about Palestine, about Kashmir and Pakistan, you rightly point out, has now become entangled with larger geopolitical concerns. And this is a part of the severance between the people and the state institutions in Pakistan. The people have not given up on Palestine. The people have not given up on Kashmir. But if the state feels that it has to give up on these issues, it can only do so by stifling the voice of the people. And that is exactly what we see happening at the moment. And this is artificial, and this is very dangerous for the state, for the internal, I would say, cohesion of the state. The state has to recognize that it cannot gallop ahead of the people. It cannot fall behind the people either. It has to take the people along. It has to listen to the people. There has to be a legitimate and a genuine conversation between the state authorities and the people of Pakistan. Pakistan was not born as a dictatorial state where the people just bow their heads and take orders from some power center. That is not in the DNA of Pakistan. You can try and do that for a short period of time, 7-8 years maybe, but ultimately things fall apart because the people have an indomitable spirit to speak and to be heard. So that will happen inevitably. So any attempt to stifle the people's voice and to move on larger geopolitical issues, I think, is doomed to end in tragedy and failure. So that is the answer to the first part of your question. And I think it really ties in with the larger question. Our institutions are often borrowed from other lands, whether it's the Westminster model, whether it is the idea of the due process of law. Unless all of these institutional ideas are actualized through the involvement of the people, unless there is respect for the people, all of these institutions ultimately become weapons with which the people are persecuted. So we see that there is a court system, but if the court system fails to realize that the people are actually being crushed, that the elections being held are really not the elections that the Constitution envisages, the restrictions on campaigning, the restrictions on becoming a candidate, the restrictions on speech, the way the constituencies have been delimited. So a gerrymandered, stifled election can maybe help somebody tick a box that yes, we held elections in Pakistan, but the reality is that you are creating greater dissent, you're creating greater anger by causing elections to happen in the manner in which they're happening. Some of us are still fighting on, some of us are still going out every day, but there is suspense in the air every single day. There is a threat looming over each one of us every single day. When am I going to be arrested? When are the people who accompany me to these rallies going to be arrested? Are their homes going to be broken into? So we are campaigning under that cloud. And we do it every day because we feel there is a larger principle for which we must fight. We must assert our right to our freedoms, freedom of speech, freedom of association, our right to have a democratic process in this country. So we carry on, but we carry on under a very dark cloud. And that is why I think we need all the support we can get. The world cannot turn its backs on us. We need people to see what is going on here. And we need the world to advise, to engage with our state authorities and to help them along the path of democracy and constitutionalism and basic values. So that is what we are seeking from the world at large. Nothing more than that. Just basic principles of decency, basic principles of constitutionalism should be asked for from our state authorities. That is all I seek.
Salman, thank you so much. And I wish you all the best on the streets of Lahore, where you're trying to fight for the constitution outside the courtroom. All your life, you have spoken the language of law and the constitution. And I would like to get in touch with you, maybe to interview separately on the question that how someone who has spoken the sophisticated language, the esoteric language of the law and the constitution is interacting and communicating with the common people of Pakistan who have never got the benefit of the law and constitution in this country, whose issues are very different. How is this experience going on? I remember I had a dinner with you a long time ago in 2000, before the 2013 election. You always had the option of switching to the politics. At that time, Imran Khan had even requested Salman Akhundzada to join Tehreek-e-Insaf, but he had considered it and was not able to make the decision. So it must have been a very important moment in his life when someone like him, who has never decided to be a judge, has never decided to be a politician, has been forced to compel to enter the politics to defend the constitution practically on the streets of Lahore. Salman, looking forward to stay in touch with you. Thank you so much.
It will be a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. So it was good to see you. I have now, you heard from Salman Akhundzada, one of the most foremost constitutional experts of this country. I have always looked upon him as a mind, one of the best gifted minds of Pakistan, just like I look upon the barrister Ahtazaz Ahsan, to which I keep on referring that if there were many people like Ahtazaz Ahsan, like Salman Akhundzada in the Pakistani legal fraternity, the situation and the circumstances of the state of Pakistan, the nation of Pakistan would have been different. So I wonder if Tehreek-e Imran from Turkey, the musician, the poet, the writer who's familiar with us for his songs. He and I have never spoken in person. I've never seen him before, not I remember, but I have been tweeting and retweeting his songs. We are in touch on Twitter. So I hope that Tehreek-e Imran from Turkey can hear me. Tehreek, can you hear me? Can you now join us? Yes, I can see you on the screen.
Yeah, I can hear you, but can I have a request with you? I mean, in Istanbul, now the beautiful, evening ezan is being recited, and my home is very close to a major, mosque. So that's why before me, maybe you can have another one, because now, I don't know whether you can hear or not.
No, we cannot hear. As far as I'm concerned, I'm here in the United States. I can see you. I can hear you.
Okay.
I don't hear any background noise.
Okay,
so
very good.
If the background noise, anything is there, it is in your vicinity. We don't hear it.
Okay.
I think the studio can also tell us. I think we don't hear it.
Yeah, very good. Then we can start.
So I wonder why someone. My first question, I think, and many people, this question would resonate with many people, the Pakistanis in Pakistan and Pakistani diaspora across the world, in North America, in Europe, in UK, in Middle East, that why someone like a principled Muslim leader like Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who takes strident, assertive position on issues across the Muslim world in the interface of West and the Muslim world, has not taken any assertive position on what is happening in Pakistan to Imran Khan? Why we have not heard anything from him?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I get this question quite often, from my followers as well. So, I mean, one thing that I can say, if you remember, when Mohammed Morsi was ousted from the power in Egypt, so that time Erdogan showed a very strong reaction, and that reaction also led to the, severing the connection between Egypt and Turkey. And later on, of course, Turkey also started having some problems, because normally, the people in Egypt and the people living in Turkey are really kind of good friends, and they love each other much. There is also, a lot of connections like trade or some other things. And then, after that, Sisi came to the power, and for many years, like Erdogan would reject to talk to him, even when they came together, in some summits. So Erdogan would prefer like not to talk to him. But then we saw that, Egypt was unfortunately kind of being used by some other countries against Turkey, like Greece or Israel. They started coming closer to Egypt. And in Turkey, of course, President Erdogan, got a lot of criticisms, because like in Turkey, we've got also sometimes a kind of polarization. So we've got a very strong, secular, community, in Turkey, and we've got also conservative people. So there are already some concerns, about President Erdogan. And actually, in the past, when he was a mayor, he was put in jail because he recited a poem. And, we got kind of some military coups, and some of them were direct and some of them were indirect. So in 1997, we had a military coup, which was called kind of postmodern military coup. So it was not a direct military coup, but that time Erdogan was the mayor, and he couldn't complete even, his rule in the municipality, and then he was put in jail. So in Turkey, there are already lots of problems. And of course, when it comes to Pakistan is a kind of major ally for Turkey. So, I mean, Turkey never wants to lose Pakistan like, Egypt or some other countries. So that's why, although I'm sure that Erdogan is not very happy about what's going on, and I believe that behind the curtains, maybe he's giving some advices, to some authorities in Pakistan about acting, with wisdom. And in the past, I remember Erdogan, criticized the kind of the decisions of the courts in Pakistan as well. So that's why, Pakistan is really an important country for Turkey. And at this point, although the people, are not very happy about what happened in Pakistan.
If you can hear me, my question is, can you hear me? My question is this: that what is the public feeling and the view in Turkey, in Istanbul, which is, if not the largest, perhaps one of the largest city in the Muslim world, one of the largest city in the world? What is the feeling on the street about Pakistan? What is the awareness, the knowledge about Imran Khan, Pakistan, in Turkey?
I think in Turkey, if you talk to people, still, I think the majority is going to think that Imran Khan is still in power in Pakistan. So, I mean, still, there are like many people, because when it comes to Pakistan, in Turkey, in the past, we heard about Benazir Bhutto. So she made some impacts on Turkish people because she was the first kind of woman prime minister, female prime minister coming out of a Muslim country. So that's why that, created a very big, curiosity in Turkey about Pakistan. But other than that, like Imran Khan, it was kind of, his name really made a very big impact, in Turkey. So in Turkey, if you ask the people to ask some politicians, from Pakistan, I believe the first, person coming to mind is going to be Imran Khan. And interestingly, I'm sure that in Turkey, still many people are unaware of what happened in Pakistan, although some people know. But like for ordinary people, even you could meet like many people thinking Imran Khan is still holding his position, in the office. So it is really interesting.
So let me ask the last question before we play music, your latest song on Pakistan. Given Erdogan's position and status in the world, and given his proximity, and you said that he doesn't want to spoil the interstate relationship between Pakistan and Turkey, couldn't Erdogan play a little bit behind the scenes? Can he play a mediative role to find a solution for the political mess in Pakistan?
Yeah, I think in the future, of course, we're going to see whether this kind of developments are happening or not, or maybe in the past, there were already, I believe, some efforts, but I mean, so far, these efforts, did not achieve the result. But on the other hand, so we should also think that, like in Turkey, unfortunately, we don't have a kind of strong PTI lobby. So in Turkey, I mean, PTI is almost kind of a non-entity. So because PTI, like Imran Khan stayed in the office only for 3.5 years, and even that time, unfortunately, it was a bad time for the world. So there was pandemic, and Imran Khan really, has some kind of wise, smart lockdowns, and Pakistan was doing much better than some other countries. But as a party, as an institution, so PTI is something new, and I don't think that like PTI is very active, in Turkey. So in this kind of situations, I believe that the parties should also put some pressure on some deputies or on the government. So I think there is something missing, on that side as well. Of course. Now Turkey is also involved in some other problems. I mean, we've got some terror problems in the border, and on the other hand, what happened in Gaza. So in Palestine now, the people are focused on Palestine, and actually one of the reasons maybe Imran Khan was ousted from the office. I mean, Brother Sami already mentioned about that. Imran Khan has been always a very strong advocate, of Palestine and Kashmir. And I know that in the Muslim countries, unfortunately, strong leaderships are not desired, because strong leaders, charismatic leaders represent the charisma of the people. And when you think about Pakistani people are really smart, and in the history, they have had a lot of achievements, and they made a very big contribution to Islamic civilization. And, Imran Khan always reminded the people that, when he referred to Mevlana, when Allah has given you 2 wings to fly, why do you crawl on the ground? So he always wanted to remind the people of the dignity and the great history that we have had, and young people, they started feeling more confident seeing President Erdogan and Imran Khan, and they started taking these leaders as a model. Like, you can also become successful, you can create, you can produce, and you can make your own contribution to the market of humanity. So that's why this kind of leaders, unfortunately, are not desired in the West. And, they have some different ways, to remove these people from our countries. So Erdogan had also a lot of, barriers in the past, and now Imran Khan is having a big test. But I can tell you, like, millions of hearts, not only in Pakistan, but all over the world are together with Imran Khan, and the impact of Imran Khan is not confined to only Pakistan. So he also made, some effect on the other countries as well. Just a few months ago, even when Imran Khan, was ousted from the office, like one of the intellectuals of Turkey, he visited Pakistan, and he came together, with Imran Khan, and they had some discussions about some different topics. And then after he came back to Turkey, and, he said Imran Khan is not only a kind of political leader, but he is also a great intellectual, and he has got some really unique ideas about, Muslim civilization or family or the challenges that we are having, in the modern world. So I think we should also be aware of that aspect of Imran Khan as well. He's not only an ordinary leader, but he's also somebody reflecting upon the challenges Muslims are encountering.
Targe, I also have to play. Thank you so much for giving us the view from Istanbul, from Turkey. We understand you, where we stand on this issue. And I will also have to play your music. So thank you so much. With this, I will request the studio to play the latest song. Tehreek-e Imran is a songwriter, is a musician.
Pakistan, you are a brave son of Islam. Oh, Pakistan, you are the hope of oppressed lands. Oh, Pakistan, how can your will be hijacked? Oh, Pakistan, how can your soul be kidnapped? Journalists disappear, eyes are occupied by tears. How long will last this atmosphere? You are Pakistan, never fear. This too will pass, Pakistan, your children will grow up. This too will pass, Pakistan, your dreams will stand up. This too will pass, Pakistan, your children will grow up. This too will pass, Pakistan, your dreams will stand up. Pakistan, you are a brave son of Islam. Oh, Pakistan, you are the hope of oppressed lands. Oh, Pakistan, how can your will be hijacked? Oh, Pakistan, how can your soul be kidnapped? Journalists disappear, eyes are occupied by tears. How long will last this atmosphere? You are Pakistan, never fear. This too will pass, Pakistan, your children will grow up. This too will pass, Pakistan, your dreams will stand up. This too will pass, Pakistan, your children will grow up. This too will pass, Pakistan, your dreams will stand up.
Amazing, amazing, Tehreek-e Imran, for this wonderful, heart-touching song which we have written on Pakistan and developed. How could Pakistan, the pride of Islam, the Muslim world, how could your soul be hijacked? How could your soul be hijacked? This is so beautiful. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us from Istanbul and giving us the view and for this beautiful, heart-touching song. With this, I will check if Ms. Dr. Mobeen Shah is in a position to join us. Dr. Mobeen Shah is the Vice Chairman of the Association of Kashmiris Diasporas across the world, and I can see him on the screen. Maybe he can also hear me. Dr. Mobeen Shah, can you hear me? Can you give us your thoughts on the situation in this discussion, which I am really impressed by the organizers for putting up this panel. This is amazing experience of being part of this session. Dr. Mobeen Shah.
Thank you, Dr. Moeed. I am also basically a doctor, but joined business. So, and now activism for Kashmir. So, Assalamu alaikum to everybody. And as a Kashmiri, I would like to give my perspective on all the 3 points which have been, which are under discussion. I would like to structure it in a structured manner, as you do in your blogs. So please bear with me. Now, number one is the turmoil in Pakistan and its effect on the region. You see, for us, India has taken the most advantage of the situation in Pakistan, particularly by the actions they are taking in Kashmir. And unfortunately, not talked about much by the world, as well as for that matter, in Pakistan, except for lip service. The occupation has been strengthened by manipulation, and getting the Supreme Court of India confirmed the actions of 5th August 2019 of the Modi government, as their Supreme Court is an extension of the executive, particularly when it comes to Kashmir, proved number of times in the execution of Martyr Maqbul Bhatt and Martyr Afzal Guru. Further strengthening the occupation by India, putting their plans of creating settler colonies, just like Israel has done, with the latest announcement of land allotments to retired Indian army personnel in the form of Sainik colonies, which already had Sainik farms besides land for their different divisions, as well as other lands. The denial of our right of self-determination has given a situation where about 4.5 million people out of the 8 million people in Kashmir have been affected. It is because of the fact that a number of people killed, number of people injured, number of people arrested, widows, orphans, and when we add up, and 10, and in our society, 10 people are the minimum in an extended family, it comes to about 4.5 million. And on top of it, now we have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. It is in hundreds and thousands in every part of the society of Kashmir. Now, all these things actually can invoke Article 2 of the genocide on which is happening in Indian occupied Kashmir. Now, the world has shown at this point of time, in the case of Gaza, the South Africa has gone to the International Court of Justice, and Mexico and Chile has gone to ICC. Now, why I'm telling all this is because that is where the importance of the leadership of Pakistan will be there. You see, because on one side of the fulcrum, Pakistan has a running policy of no trade with India after August 2019, and rightly so. Although Kashmiri view at that time and still is, that it should have been more, as I pointed out to Khan Sahib when I met him in last year in Zaman Park, and that is the only time I have met him in life. Now there's a talk of starting trade, etc. Unfortunately, Pakistanis do not learn from history. No amount of talk or expectation of reinventing the wheel by doing extra by trade can change Indian policy, until and unless a strong leadership is in place who can see eye to eye and have the courage to expose the Hindutva agenda or Islamophobia regime presently in place in India. Now we take the other part in the region. That the attack on a nuclear power Pakistan by Iran was intended to send clear message to the United States and its allies, and not least Israel, is hard to dispute. A lot of people are telling this. We know who benefited from 9/11. At this time in the world, particularly in our region, it's a similar situation. After 9/11, 6 countries were demolished and destroyed. Now they have started in Gaza. Iran fired missiles on Pakistan, and Pakistan fired back rightly to protect each other's sovereignty. Yet when the sovereignty of our holy mosque, Ul-Quds, is violated, nothing is done. I fear the region as well as the Muslim world is going to suffer if we do not have a leadership in Pakistan who carries weight not only in the region, but the world, particularly even the economy of Pakistan, is dire straits. Speakers before me have told you about already what the Muslim world thinks about Imran Khan. Being a businessman, we have to understand that without a stable environment, no investors will come to Pakistan. And the vision of Pakistan as a citadel of Islam will be a pipe dream. Let us forget that then if it is not happening, you know. Now, second important point is the impact of Imran Khan on Muslim world and region. Imran Khan, as the Prime Minister of Pakistan, has influenced the Muslim world and the region in several ways. His leadership has been characterized by efforts to foster diplomatic relations and promote peace. Khan Sahib has been vocal on issues like Islamophobia, which culminated in the UN declaring a day of 15th March as a day of Islamophobia worldwide. He has been an advocate of Kashmir conflict, advocating for the right of Kashmiris. Additionally, he has played a role in facilitating dialogues between Muslim majority countries and, as per media reports, even been able to break the ice between Iran and Saudi Arabia at a certain given time. Now, in the region, because of this problem at this point of time in Pakistan, Israel has also taken advantage of the situation. And we know that in what has happened in Gaza, more than 32,000 Palestinians have been killed and 72,440 homes have been destroyed. The most unapologetic Muslim leader who spoke against the indirect American interference in Muslim nations, unlike many Arab leaders who have accepted the American hegemony, has been Imran Khan. It's important that in the Muslim world there's a need to have a strong voice, to add to the other strong voices like President Erdogan of Turkey, where I live, whose people are behind him. It's important to recognize this, as there is a pattern of global assault on Islam. Palestine, Rohingyas, East Turkmenistan, Chechnya, Bosnia are examples. The pattern has been described in detail if you study the doctrine of discovery, the Lausanne Declaration, Confections of an Economic Hitman. General Westmoreland exposed the Pentagon plans to destroy and destabilize the entire Middle East. Christian Zionism, Clash of Civilization, Huntington. The strength of a state are rule of law and its ability to respond to UN Charter obligations. States should not be seen fragile and failing to uphold the human rights and constitutional guarantees. States should be seen administering rule of law and not prosecuting Imran Khan. Imran Khan has a constituency at home and abroad. Due regard should be given to it. I would like to recall that recently I met a Palestinian activist who told me in my discussion that in the Islamic world, voice of Mahathir Mohamad is heard, besides President Erdogan, and lamented the absence of Khan Sahib, whose voice would have changed the response of the Islamic world in regard to Gaza. This is a Palestinian talking, not a Kashmiri. This is a Palestinian talking. Now, impact of Cyphergate on US-Pakistan relations. There is a difference in the perception of the public, which I got living in Turkey, wherein I saw that Pakistanis, when they meet me here, or I met them on my visit to Pakistan, that America was considered not an enemy, but not a friend also. But after Cyphergate, it is now perceived to be an enemy by interfering in the internal affairs of Pakistan. The truth is that Khan Sahib has few friends in the West after prioritizing relations with Russia and China. From a Washington perspective, anyone who would be better than Khan, says Michael Kugelman, whom we have heard a number of times.
Yes.
The policy of prioritizing was correct, as we know how India took advantage, at least with Russia economically.
Dr. Mubin Shah.
Yes,
Dr. Mubin Shah, before we move on, I just have a quick question. So with this background, what you're describing of Kashmir, of Khan Sahib's contribution against Islamophobia, the voice in the Muslim world, what would you tell the audience? What is the way forward? I mean, ultimately, every conflict has to be settled. What is the way forward? You know, if the West is against, if the internal establishment is controlled by them, what is the way forward for us?
I would. That will be my conclusion part of it. I have suggested something which is very, very important, because my whole activism is based on that. Let me be very clear. You know, my whole activism is based on truth. And truth, what is happening in Kashmir, it is based on that. So that's why I will conclude my whole thing after. Give me just 1 or 2 minutes more, please. I would like to tell the Kashmir perspective about what is the US policy on Kashmir. Because it is important, because the issue of Kashmir has resonance in the Pakistan-US policy also. Number of times. We have seen it all along. I, as a person, I have seen myself, I was released from the Indian prison because of the American Senate hearings. Pressure of America, which, lately PTI was trying to do, but it was not so simple. But I was released basically based on that, because at that point of time, and this is where you see, the American policy towards Kashmir is not known. They are very secretive about it in a way. Respect to human rights, yes, but we have seen lately one of our most important human rights defender, Khurram Parvez, is in jail for the last 2.5 years, more than 2.5 years. But there is no movement in India because the change in policy, is it a change of policy? Because they need China, against China. India is needed against China. So it is also important because this is going to reflect on the Pakistan-American policy. You see, Israel, and when we compare it with Israel and let us say America, to me, Israel is America, America is Israel.
True.
Okay, but in the case of India and America, it is still not that. It is not that yet. It is not America is India, India is America. It is not yet. So that's why I gave you the example of my own and my Khurram Parvez, that was a difference, So the problem is with America is there is double speak in regard to human rights and false narrative has been built, which has been exposed in the case of Palestine, and although in Kashmir they are not publicly yet seen.
Yes.
So, and another narrative which the world has done, unfortunately in our case, as well as in Palestine, is that they have labeled our freedom fighters as terrorists. While as when the Afghans were fighting the Soviets,
Dr. I will request you to wind up. Dr.
Yes,
I would like, yeah.
Now, after all this, who will talk to them on an equal footing? This is the important part. Who will talk to them for equal footing and absolutely not basis to safeguard the sovereignty of Pakistan? People of Pakistan need to decide it decisively and bravely. Our basis of Kashmir settlement is based on the basis of right of self-determination. And certainly Pakistani need to decide for themselves how they need to be governed and not only be a developed nation with dignity and honor, but the citadel of Islam for which was created. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mobeen Shah. He was giving us not only the perspective and what's happening on Kashmir, but also how he sees from an international perspective on the situation in Pakistan, and how Imran Khan is victim of the fact because he's become a voice for the Muslims and for the global South in a way. With this, before I move to the last speaker, Ryan Grimm, I will see if Professor Khalid Baidoun can now join us. He was in a different time zone. Professor Khalid Baidoun is a constitutional expert. He is a professor of law at Arizona State University. He has done extensive research on the issues of critical constitutional theory, also on Islamophobia. He's the author of book of Islamophobia in America. Professor Khalid Baidoun, I hope you can hear me. I can see you on the screen. Yeah. So
good.
looking forward to hear your view, and I wonder if you were listening to the conversation so far. But at least three different speakers, one from Turkey, one from London, one a Kashmiri Kashmiri diaspora voice, have all looked at from an international perspective that how the United States and the West have seen Imran Khan as a threat to the kind of order they had imposed in the Muslim world. So you being an academic, how do you see it? And not only see it, what do you suggest? How do we find and negotiate a way? Because as you understand as a constitutional person, that we always have to negotiate a way out. So what can we do to build up trust between Pakistan and the West to come out of this situation?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored and humbled to be part of this convening. Assalamu alaikum, everybody here from the
Walaikum
United
assalam.
States. Let me try to answer those questions and the other sort of key terms that have been presented to all the speakers in a sort of fluid way. So as you've mentioned, I'm a constitutional law professor. I teach American constitutional law, but I'm also a scholar on the war on terror and a scholar on Islamophobia. So how I come to this issue and how I learned about Imran Khan, is through the lens of two, American constitutional legal principles, which I identify as being selectively applied and hypocritical, especially with the way they're deployed in this global war on terror. And second, from the vantage point of Islamophobia, and Imran Khan not only being a champion president within Pakistan, but a champion president and a very unapologetic symbol of Muslim strength, globally speaking. So I'm here in the United States, as you all know. I study this. I study constitutional law and Islamophobia within the United States. And you might ask, why is this Muslim American really keen on, advocating on behalf of, and why do I use my social media channels and publications to really, stilt up the importance of Imran Khan? And let me lead with that. Number one, Imran Khan comes at a critical juncture when the United States, not only in the Arab world, but in the Muslim world, has been seeding leaders who are essentially puppets, right? Puppet leaders, proxies, who have been empowered and entrenched to expand American, economic interests and geopolitical interests. We see this throughout the Arab world. We see this in other Muslim majority countries. And we've seen this not only recently, but for decades since the launch of the war on terror in the immediate aftermath of the 9/11 terror attacks. Now, Imran Khan is an antithesis of that, right? Not only by way of policy, not only by way of rhetoric, but also by way of real practical action. Many of the speakers have mentioned how Imran Khan has been an advocate of Kashmiri self-determination and independence. Now that we're in the thick of what's going on in Gaza and seeing Israeli neocolonialism take on genocidal forms in Gaza, we know that Imran Khan has always been a staunch and consistent supporter of Palestinian self-determination and the dignity of Palestinian people. We saw a couple of years ago when Russia invaded Ukraine and the entire Western world flanked around Ukraine and talked about principles of democracy, the rule of law, the importance of self-determination, the threat of colonialism, that Imran Khan was one of the first people to identify the Western hypocrisy and selective application of these constitutional principles. People also mentioned from the vantage point of Islamophobia how Imran Khan was, very much the first global leader to not only identify the importance of, calling out Islamophobia as a bona fide form of bigotry that is unfolding on a global scale, which has been weaponized and has been intensified, very nefariously by the American war on terror. But for Western organizations and transnational networks like the United Nations to formally identify a day of Islamophobia, and that had been enshrined on March 15th. So this architecture of achievement that Imran Khan has been able to achieve as the lead, as the executive of Pakistan, identifies the importance of him not only as a regional leader, but a global leader for Muslims, right? Somebody who is defiant, somebody who is courageous, and somebody who's principled to not only stand up for the dignity and the rights of Muslims globally speaking, whether it's in South Asia, whether it's in East Asia, whether it's in the West, whether it's in the Middle East. I think that kind of universal application of Muslim dignity and Muslim importance in terms of humanity is something Imran Khan has definitely championed. But I think even more than that, as we sort of like juxtapose this, really corrupt and criminal incarceration of Imran Khan at this juncture with what's happening in Gaza, this moment when we juxtapose these two case studies identifies the importance of Imran Khan, right? Because one thing Imran Khan has always lifted up is to communicate to the West is, look, if the West stands for all of these really vaunted principles that you claim to stand for, right? You stand for dignity, you stand for anti-racism, you stand for religious freedom, you stand for the rule of law, you stand for due process, then you have to live by those standards, right? You have to live by those standards. So in many respects, Imran Khan foreshadowed, right? He sort of presented a early preface to what we're seeing happening in real time with regard to Gaza, which is finally the global South and global South leadership rising up to Western governments. We see that very vividly with South Africa bringing this case to the ICJ. in very masterful fashion, presenting how the genocide being advanced by the Israeli government not only meets what the global South defines as genocide, but more importantly, what Western legal definitions of criminal charges like genocide are, demonstrating that the West has been really contradictory, right? They want to apply these constitutional principles to Western governments and Western societies and white people with blonde hair and blue eyes in places like Ukraine, lifting up the fact that Ukrainians have the right to, organize private militias to defend their homelands, that when Ukrainians throw Molotov cocktails at invading Russian tanks, that they're freedom fighters. Imran Khan was the first to say, hey, why isn't that the case when Kashmiris do the same thing? Why isn't that the case when Palestinians doing the same thing? Kashmiris, like Ukrainians, Palestinians, like Ukrainians, are just defending their homeland. They're just defending their families. They're aspiring for self-determination. They're aspiring for a sovereign country. Imran Khan was the first global leader to say these things before South Africa brought a case against Israel to the ICJ, before Namibia called out Germany's contradictory standpoint with regard to genocide and aligning itself with Israel to say, hey, no, Germany, you can't say that you stand for all these really important democratic principles, but in fact, you have committed genocide and are only aligning with Israel because you have guilt over the Holocaust. So in many respects, this moment we're seeing right now is a consequence of what's happening in Gaza, where the global South is rising up and finally calling out the hypocrisy, calling out the contradiction, calling out the selective application, again, of all these constitutional aspirational principles that the West sees itself to symbolize, that it never advances, that it never applies to Muslim societies, Pakistan, Kashmir. Obviously, Dr. Mubin Shah talked about how Indian Muslims have been, oppressed considerably in that country, and how the United States obviously has a vested interest in advancing Hindutva supremacy in that country as a strategy not only to, function as a buffer to China, but to also weaken Pakistan. So in many respects, I think that ironically enough, being a constitutional law professor, Imran Khan's case study, again, in two really important ways demonstrates how he was very much a vanguard of the global South rising that we see right now. And second, from a constitutional legal perspective, somebody who was really pushing the West to say that if these are principles that you hold dear, if these are cornerstone to your legal systems, if these are central to your civilized societies, then why are you not applying due process? Why are you not applying human rights? Why are you not applying the rights to self-determination and sovereignty to oppress Muslim peoples? Right. And I think Imran Khan is key in identifying that. And that's why Imran.
I have a question. I have a question, which I said in the beginning. So I agree with you. But I wonder, from your pivotal position, within the United States. And after all, what is the negotiated way? West is very powerful. The United States has a controlling influence on Pakistani key institutions. The United States has a lot of influence across the Middle East. Pakistani people stand for Imran Khan. What is the negotiated way forward in which the people of Pakistan can reclaim their dignity and their sovereignty and their right to have a government of their own choosing that can also be at peace with the West? The issue is the interface between the West and the world of Islam. What is the way forward?
Well, look, if I can be candid with you, I think this idea that a sort of even keel symmetrical sort of like negotiation with the West is a myth, right? It's naive. The West believes in power. The West believes in imposing itself, whether in the colonial period or the neo-colonial period. So I think the way forward for Pakistan and all global South countries is to unify along a collective bloc of global South countries who have experienced the same degree of subordination and the same degree of stigmatization from the West, right? I think it's naive to think that the West is altruistic and has a good faith interest in instilling democracy in places like Pakistan or Palestine. They don't. They want to instill governments in these countries that are advancing their interest. So you can't negotiate with a power that is parasitic. You can't negotiate with a power that sees you as a means to an end versus seeing you as an independent sovereign country. So the strategy moving forward is not negotiating or naively not negotiating with the West, but is to expand and entrench and intensify solidarity with other global South countries.
Very, very interesting perspective. Very, very interesting perspective, Khalid Badoon, how Pakistan has not only to join with the other Muslim countries, but also to become a part of the global South to resist this domination. Thank you so much, Professor Khalid Badoon, the Professor of Law at the Arizona State University. Thank you so much for joining us. But now, I would request Ryan Grimm. Ryan Grimm, first of all, I thank you for patiently waiting for all the speakers, but you also got the opportunity to listen to so many diverse voices. For those who are not familiar, many have heard in the Pakistani diasporas, in the Pakistani intelligentsia, the name of Ryan Grimm, his publication, which is, I consider, one of the most important voices of the global South within the United States. And I would like to sit down with Ryan Grimm to understand the dynamics that control the US media, how the narratives shaped over here. Ryan is now the bureau chief of this important publication, Intercept, in Washington, D.C. Before this, he had been the bureau chief of another very important publication in United States, Huffington Post, which is known worldwide. The Intercept has written extensively on Pakistan. In fact, many efforts which we have done through our social media pale into insignificance. The 3 or 4 stories that came into from the Intercept have made the U.S. establishment on defensive. They actually were compelled to answer back, and it was a huge impact inside Pakistan, across the world as well. Ryan is also an author of more than one book. I just got his latest book on the Squad, which is the left side politics of the Democratic Party. Ryan, you have heard everyone. My question is this: what is the way forward? And what is the significance of the Cyphergate, for which Imran Khan is facing sort of a death penalty? And what is the way forward between the United States and between the people of Pakistan and Imran Khan?
I think your last speaker said it well. Is that the West may say a lot of things about the values that it holds, but what it understands is power. And until Pakistan, inside Pakistan, and also over here in the United States, with an organized lobby that forces Washington to pay attention to Pakistani Americans, it will, Pakistan will be kind of at the whim of global powers. You and I were on Capitol Hill a week or two ago, and I mentioned that there's a kind of famous saying in Washington that says, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And right now, Pakistan, when it comes to global affairs and also in Washington, is on the menu. And we talked yesterday about the way that democracy represents such a kind of significant threat, both to domestic elites and also to people, also to other countries around the world that want to manipulate the internal politics of a country, and for their own interests. There was a paper that came out recently, drawing a direct connection between Pakistan's anemic economic growth over the last many decades and Pakistan's lack of democracy, because people in Pakistan have so little power. They're not able to kind of force elites to reckon with their own failures. When elites are able to go unchecked, essentially what they do is they just extract wealth from the public and subsidize their own kind of captured monopolistic companies, which are run counter to the innovation that any economy needs to grow. But it is really, and a lot of people understand that phenomenon, but what they don't understand is the connection to democracy. It is empowering regular people that allows you to create that kind of dynamic, functional, vibrant society. And without it, you get kind of what you have now. Similarly, without a kind of democratic will, able to kind of express itself in the country, countries like the United States are then, it becomes just so much easier for them to just push people around as they did, in March 2022.
So, but what is the way forward? What would you suggest? Because we expect some. Yeah, you're a Washington insider, and not only with Intercept, with Huffington Post, a publication I've been reading and reviewing for the past more than 10 years. How would you suggest? I mean, what is the way forward for us?
So, what the way forward is in Pakistan itself, I will leave to all the rest of your to your speakers and to everyone in Pakistan, and I hope that they have a genuine opportunity to set the way forward. What I can speak to, with some experience is what works here in Washington D.C. And one anecdote I think puts all of this into context. So around 10 days or so, a week to 10 days after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Don Liu, the famous Don Liu, was brought before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, which is the major committee that basically provides oversight on U.S. foreign policy. Don Liu, at that hearing, was called to the carpet. He was chastised by one of the most well-respected, if not the most well-respected, Democratic senator when it comes to foreign policy, Chris Van Hollen. And what Liu was hit for was not doing the diplomatic work ahead of the invasion and not speaking to the Pakistani government to try to win the Pakistani government, win Imran Khan over to the kind of Ukrainian side. It's one thing if a diplomat tries and fails, but what Don Liu was getting yelled at for was just completely overlooking Pakistan. And so Don Liu was at the hearing complaining because just the day before, Imran Khan had been at a rally and said, telling the European Union, we're not your slaves. We're going to remain neutral in this conflict. And so Don Liu is complaining about that. But Senator Chris Van Hollen was responding and saying, well, what did you do? This is also your responsibility. You need to be in dialogue with these countries. And so he was publicly humiliated. It was only then a couple days later that he had his famous / infamous meeting with Ambassador Assad Khan, in which he told Khan that all would be forgiven if Imran Khan is ousted in a vote of no confidence. What you can see in that anecdote is that this fairly mid-level diplomat, after he was called to the carpet, after he was yelled at by the United States Senate, felt like he had the ability, he had the power to take out that beating on the Pakistani ambassador. And what that shows is that he did not have any fear that there would be a push back in the other direction. I've spoken to a lot of State Department officials who have worked on the question of Israel-Palestine for many decades. They know that they are on a very, very tight leash. And they are aware that if they push too hard against an Israeli suggestion, that Ron Dermer in particular, but other high-level Israeli officials can just pick up the phone and call the Secretary of State and say so-and-so is getting a little bit too aggressive. You need to rein them in. You need to check them, and that can be career-ending for a diplomat. You did not have any fear from Don Liu in that meeting that what he was saying could remotely cause him problems in his career down the road. And as you've seen, it did not cause him any problems. And so I think the Pakistani American community needs to develop the kind of power in Washington that at least would make somebody like Don Liu think in the back of his mind, if I do this, on the one hand, there's this force, on the other hand, there's this power center. And so I need to balance that.
So Ryan, it's so interesting, and for many other people who are not familiar with this, you have actually brought the real thing, that how Donald Liu and his team were simply not cognizant of the fact that they needed to approach the government of the Prime Minister Imran Khan, and they never approached him before. So they failed in their professional responsibility. Now, adding to this, I can share with you that before Imran Khan as Prime Minister went on to Russia, he invited a large meeting in Islamabad. He always used to do this. He was a man of public input. Mm-hmm. And in the meeting, he called all the ex-ambassadors who had served in Russia. And this meeting was just one day before he took off. He took off in the evening, I think on 23rd or something, for Moscow. And on 22nd or in the same morning, there was a meeting. Then in the morning, on the day in which he left for Russia, one day before, he had a meeting, and he called all the ex-ambassadors of Pakistan that has served in Moscow, mm-hmm. and all the ex-foreign secretaries, including the current foreign secretary. At that time, it was Mr. Suhail Mahmood. He had called several other people. and there were so many other people, and there were 3 journalists. I was one of them. I think Imtiaz Gul was the other. And one single question he kept on the table for everyone was this. He said, look, gentlemen, we had strained relationship with Russia. There is a Russian invitation which was pending for the past several months. It kept on delaying for several reasons. But now, at a time when we are supposed to go to the Russia, and also keep in the mind that he was supposed to go to the Russia in the beginning of February, but that trip was rescheduled because of the Winter Olympics. Because the Winter Olympics in Beijing were boycotted by the Western countries led by United States. So though the Pakistani trip to Moscow was rescheduled because the Pakistani leadership and the Russian leadership both had to go to the Winter Olympics. Otherwise, the Pakistani visit would have taken between the 1st and the 3rd or the 5th February of 2022. But in this meeting, which is a historic meeting, and I dovetail it with what you tell, Imran Khan asked everybody to basically think on this and tell us, should I go to Moscow at this time because I fear that the war is impending? The scenario is that the war. So everyone in that room, including all ex-ambassadors, diplomats, the foreign secretary, the ex-foreign secretaries and the journalists, none of the Pakistani people had the slightest cognizance and understanding of the European and the Western sensitivity on the issue of Ukraine. All they were basically possessed is that if we didn't go to Moscow at this time, we always had strained relationship. We have worked for the past 10, 15 years through the Druzhba commando exercises and so many contacts across, the world with the Russians and Chinese have helped us. If we didn't go to Moscow at the time, Putin would be upset and our relationship with Russia would have a setback. So there were total disconnect, and I am just basically connecting the 2 dots because what you tell from the Washington perspective and what I'm telling you from Islamabad perspective is it was an utmost failure on the part of the team of the Secretary Blinken, Tony Blinken, and Donald Lu, that they never took. Had the American government approached the Prime Minister Imran Khan's team at the highest level, they were told us that, look, there are reservations. You shouldn't really go to Russia at the time. There was absolutely no possibility. So much so that Imran Khan told his audience that I have also checked with the Pakistani military chief, and the military was of the firm view, General Bajwa was of the firm view that he should go, and he said we will explain to the American side. So Imran Khan was the only one who was worried that how the Americans and the West are going to react to it. And subsequently, he also told the journalists after the visit that just before leaving, he again called the army chief, General Bajwa, and he said, look, the war looks totally imminent. Should we go and should we not go? And the army chief again and the intelligence said to him that you should go. So I think this perspective itself has never been understood over here. So what are your thoughts? I would just I request you to make some comments on it, and then we can move ahead.
That's a fascinating point, because I wonder, if there were reservations expressed from the United States, they would have been, through the national security team, and they would have been sent, and the military would have been aware. It raises a fascinating question of whether or not he was set up, whether or not Bajwa actually did know that this was a red line for the United States, and encouraged him to go anyway, because he knew what this the effect that this would have, but also that does not excuse the State Department. That does not excuse the diplomats their obligation to just do the basic point. You can argue that Khan should do whatever he wants, but he should do it fully aware from every perspective of what the kind of geopolitical implications are. If he understands this is a red line for the United States, and he says, well, we're sovereign and we've got this meeting scheduled and we're going to go anyway, then great, more power to him. But he should have that information.
He was never warned. But my last question before I let you go, Ryan, while this is important, whatever happened between Donald Lu and all this, I had a lot of access to the diplomatic community, the Western diplomatic community, also the Indian diplomatic community in Islamabad, because I was a publisher. My publication was going to all the diplomatic missions. It was a substantive publication, the magazine, the Global Village Space magazine. I had started feeling this thing as early as 2021, the beginning, when the Biden administration took hold on 20th January. After 20th January, I started sensing this thing, that something is happening, and I kept on hearing this thing, that Imran Khan is not getting the bigger picture. He doesn't understand us. He's a sort of a nuisance. He's very rigid. Imran Khan has to go. He is going to be in the dustbin of the history. He's not acceptable. I heard these statements from the Western diplomats and also from the Indian diplomats. And I also heard this thing that General Bajwa is the man who's going to deliver for peace in South Asia. He has delivered for the ceasefire. So whereas the Donald Lu's reaction, which you have just mentioned, his failure becomes important, I think the idea to get rid of the Imran Khan was being incubated for quite some time. Your thoughts on it?
That's that lines up with everything that we've learned about the situation, and so no, I think all of that fits with our understanding of it, and it fits with what we were talking about earlier. That the United States' priority by that point was Ukraine and Russia up here, and then everything else way down below where you can't even see. And so when those situations arise, the U.S. is very quick to make, very, very, major decisions quickly. But I think you're right that it was headed in that direction before that, and there may be some relationship between his good relationship with Donald Trump. It's ironic that a country can be punished by one American administration for having good relations with a different administration, as if the navigating the relationship wasn't difficult enough already.
So it's getting longer. I know it's getting longer, but just one last a very interesting piece of information I wanted to share with you, because you mentioned Jake Sullivan's national security team. When Imran Khan and the Pakistani delegation had arrived in Moscow, and they were in a hotel next to Kremlin, in the morning at 5 a.m. in the Moscow morning, Jake Sullivan calls the Pakistani NSA, Dr. Moeed Yusuf, which I found out from the Prime Minister's team subsequently. And Jake Sullivan demands from, and by the time the Russia had already in the early morning attacked Ukraine formally, which was in fact a huge, I think a huge betrayal on the part of Putin that was very clandestine, devilish and diabolical, that he made Pakistani Prime Minister into Moscow. And then he basically he could have delayed that attack 1 day later, 2 days later. But Jake Sullivan called Dr. Moeed Yusuf, who was sleeping then, and asked him to go back to take the Pakistani delegation. I mean, it was one hell of a command. And asked, one command from the 10 commandments, and asked the Pakistani Prime Minister to go back to Islamabad. So Moeed Yusuf, I have been told, comes up in his shorts, and he starts knocking at the door of the military secretary. He starts waking up the other people, and they all assemble in the room, in the hotel room of Prime Minister Imran Khan. And they said, Jake Sullivan and the American government wants us to go back. And Imran Khan looks at the window, and he draws the curtain, and he saw the Russians were marching. They were preparing for the Guard of Honor for the Pakistani side. And he said, guys, we are not stuck. We can't go back at this point. It's simply not possible. I mean, if not coming here would have been, a problem. But I mean, now leaving like this, would have been a total slap on the face of the Russians. So he said, now we cannot go back at this point. I just want to share this with you, Ryan. But thank you so much for joining us. I mean, you've been very patient, and I look forward to getting in touch with our own discussion on the American media. So I think with this,
those are incredible details.
Yeah, I mean, we must
situation.
Talk more. Yeah, thank you, Ryan. And I don't think if any speaker is left studio, is anyone else to contribute, or I can go ahead and conclude and give my concluding remarks on this studio. Is there anyone left which I have not taken? Can studio tell me? Can someone speak from the studio? Is anyone left, or have covered everyone? I don't hear. I assume.
I think you're covered.
I think according to the list.
Yes, everyone. Yes.
Thank you, Ali. Yeah. So let me first of all thank everyone. First of all, I must say, it has been after a long time. Once I left the Pakistani television, when we used to have the national broadcast and we used to have the hookup, in which we used to take people from all across the world and across Pakistan on an international development. We used to have those marathon broadcasts when we used to have input from Karachi, Islamabad, Multan, Rawalpindi, Peshawar, from London in one single broadcast. After many 22 months or maybe 24 months of my own life, I have been part of this wonderful initiative by the PTI's team. I do not know who conceived it and designed it. I was only asked to moderate the session, but I congratulate Rauf Hassan Sahab and his team, Ali and Jabran, for this wonderful initiative. And I think this is just the beginning. I think we should continue this kind of initiative every now and then. After every 2 weeks, there should be an initiative. It has been a wonderful experience. It has been dot connecting. It has been connecting so many intelligent and gifted minds from across the world. And we got the opportunity to hear from very informed people like Ryan Grimm, Dr. Mubin Shah. We got the opportunity of hearing from Salman Akram Raja, Professor Khalid Beydoun, Sami Hamidi, Targey Evran from Turkey, and so many other people, if I'm forgetting any name. Thank you so much for your participation.
Doctor, we have to play Imran Khan's message. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so yes, I forgot. I'm so sorry because I'm thinking if I forgot anything. So initially it was decided that Imran Khan's message would be played in the beginning, but then it was decided to play it in the end. So I'll request the studio to play Imran Khan's message, and that would be the conclusion. Thank you.
The convention. Thank you for attending this event. With Israel's brutal assault on the people of Gaza, slaughtering of thousands of children, women, journalists, doctors, effectively a genocide of the Palestinians, disturbance in international maritime waters, and continued war in Ukraine, the world is heading towards a grave international crisis. Pakistan is also embroiled in internal conflict never seen before in the history of Pakistan. The entire state machinery is bending the law and the constitution of Pakistan just to keep me and my party out of the electoral process. In doing so, they have made mockery of the law and destroyed not just the political, but the moral fabric of our society. It started when the military establishment became agitated with my push for an independent foreign policy. I was categorical that we would be a friend to all, but would not be anyone's proxy for wars. I did not come to this view lightly. It was shaped by the huge losses Pakistan had incurred collaborating with America's war on terror, not least the 80,000 Pakistani lives lost. Ever since my removal, several crackdowns have been made on my party workers and leadership. The most brutal crackdown started after the false flag operation of May 9th, 2023. There are over 200 cases on me, and I have been incarcerated for over 180 days now. Women workers have also been jailed, most of whom are mothers and housewives. This scale and nature of the state's attack on women has never been seen in our country. Under the grand scheme hatched in London, I and my party are to be kept out of the electoral process. When all else backfired, now through a botched judicial process, our election symbol has also been taken away, leaving our candidates to run as independents under hundreds of different symbols. This continued political disturbance in our country has wrecked the economy and alienated our regional friends. During my time, we devised a foreign policy based on regional economic connectivity. We were aggressively pursuing this vision via reaching out CIS states, Russia, and renewed relationship with China. We offered facilitation to bring Iran and Yemen closer to Saudi Arabia. In my UN General Assembly speech, I explained to the world the importance of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, for Muslim Ummah, and helped introduce the UN General Assembly resolution that has established 15th March as an international day against Islamophobia. We facilitated US and Afghanistan for Doha talks for a peaceful exit of US from Afghanistan. But due to sudden exit of Ghani regime, things quickly deteriorated and we saw chaotic scenes of US withdrawal. I am told that at certain level, Biden administration blames me for the messy US withdrawal, but this is far from the truth. Our government policy vision was regional economic connectivity. I extended my friendship hand to India in the very first speech after winning the elections, but at every point RSS-led Modi regime shut us down. And after the illegal alteration of the status of Indian-occupied Kashmir and its transformation into the world's largest open prison by a belligerent Modi regime, it was clear that their intention was not normalization, Kashmir is a cornerstone of our foreign policy, and we took a firm and principled stand on this issue despite the challenges. Despite pressures, Pakistan went ahead with withdrawal of ambassador to New Delhi, relaying a clear message that normalization of relations was contingent upon peaceful resolution of Kashmir dispute. What is needed for Pakistan is a strong, truly representative democratic government and a democratic framework governed by rule of law and our constitution. I would like to call on all who believe in democracy and peace to stand by us and speak out against the present massacre of democracy and rule of law being carried out in Pakistan. I thank you all for attending the conference. Pakistan Zindabad.
Dr. Saab, thank you so much. And I would like to have Rauf Hassan Saab to say a few words before we close the stream. Thank you, Note, and whatever else you want to say. Rauf Saab, over to you.
Thank you, Ali.
It was such a touching message, Rauf Saab. I just wanted to say this thing, after all the discussion we had, first of all, I must congratulate once again to you, Rauf Saab, and all your team, Ali and Gibran, and all others people whom I'm not aware, who have conceived this, who have planned this, who have invited all these people. It was a very moving experience. It was a brilliant participation from so many people. We learned so many things. It was cathartic. And the message in the end from Imran Khan sums it. It makes so much sense what he has said now. To you, Rauf Saab.
Thank you, Moeed. And first of all, thanks to you for a wonderful, wonderful job done and giving us insights, that even I was unaware of, in spite the fact that I was part of the government. So thank you very much for that. And I think I need to discuss a few things with you in the next couple of days. I'll call. My thanks go out to all the speakers. Let me concede that I think it was a stimulating discussion. I think everyone contributed to it. Every speaker contributed to it. And they gave some insights, which I think in Pakistan and elsewhere in the Muslim world, we should take cognizance of, and we must pursue them. One thing that would possibly haunt me, has haunted me for a long time, and I think it shall possibly continue to haunt me, which was put across by a couple of speakers, is with regard to the Muslim world getting together. Like-minded people getting together and helping the Muslim world get out of this stranglehold that unfortunately it has been stuck in. Mention was also made of the Kuala Lumpur summit, where Imran Khan did not ultimately go, simply because he was threatened, as has been very candidly put across. There are many other statements made, which I think shall lighten the path. But I'm at a loss to understand which are those Muslim countries, with which Pakistan can actually collaborate to chisel a new path into the future. And it's already late in the day, but it's a struggle that possibly should accelerate in the coming days and weeks and months. And I think it's important that we're able to break this Western stranglehold on the Muslim minds. Middle East is a principal victim. This normalization of relations with Israel is a cancer. I call it cancer, because it is going to come at the cost of the rights of the Muslims in that area. And it is going to affect everything that is of importance to the Muslim world, be it Kashmir, be it Palestine, be it so many other issues, which are there. So, I would like to treat this as the first of a series of such conventions, that we are going to hold. And I compliment Gibran, I compliment Ali, and I compliment the entire team for doing this wonderful, wonderful job and putting it all together. I think, we're going to carry forth a message which we will think about, which we will deliberate among ourselves, and we will work on organizing another session like this in order to move on from what we have discussed today. So at the end, I would once again like to thank all the speakers for the wonderful insights which they have provided today. I think they shall constitute a solid base for us to wear our thinking caps again and see what are the possibilities, what are the options that the Muslim world have in order to be able to move forward, and instead of going around in circles, and getting deeper into the quagmire, which unfortunately has been our fate in our lifetime so far. How best can we sort of extricate ourselves from that and chisel a new path for us, to move into the future. So my compliments to everybody, and thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing all of you at some point in the future, near future, I hope. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rauf Saab. Thank you, Dr. Saab. Is there anything you would like to say before we sign off?
No, it's just like that. I just appreciate this thing. I think we must have another one in the next 15 days. It was wonderful.
Absolutely.
Very well done.
Right. Right.
And very nicely technically handled as well. Thank you, Ali.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. All right, we're signing off, and inshallah next time एक बार फिर इस तरह से हाजिर होंगे. मोहित साहब की बात है, उस पर मैं एंड करूंगा कि जो अंग्रेजी की जो पब्लिकेशन है, अंग्रेजी की जो चीज़ें हैं, वो जिस तरह से पूरी दुनिया में फैल सकती हैं और उसका जो असर हो सकता है, वो किसी भी तौर पर उर्दू या जो हमारी जो लोकल ज़ुबान है उसका वो नहीं हो सकता. तो हम कोशिश करेंगे कि और ज़्यादा अंग्रेज़ी का मवाद जो है और उसको लेकर आएँ और आवाज़ जो है वो सही तरीके से हम उठा सकें. तो आप लोगों का शुक्रिया. पाकिस्तान.